pero me parece que la organización sí tiene interés en alargar un poquito más. Vamos a escuchar a Cristal Montañez, del E-Club Rotario de Houston, y además miembro de una de las organizaciones que como sociedad civil creo que ha aportado más en ese apoyo directo a esos más de 5 millones de migrantes venezolanos, la organización Hope para refugiados venezolanos. Cristal, tienes la palabra.
Thank you, Gustau. Secretary General Luis Almagro, Minister Hill and Minister Bloom, members of Rotary, event organizers, and guests. Thank you for the opportunity to share the impact of our Hope for Venezuelan Refugee project in Colombia. I am originally from Venezuela. As a member of the International Service Committee of the E-Club of Houston, I am honored to be the coordinator of the Hope for Venezuelan Refugee project. As we know, access to food is a priority in this humanitarian crisis. During phases 1 and 2 of the Hope for Venezuelan Refugee project, we help respond to the food insecurity affecting thousands of Venezuelan refugees, migrants, and walkers, caminantes as they are known, and Colombian returnees through the donation of 46 tons of Rise Against Hunger meals. This donation helped increase the capacity of the selected food distribution centers in Cúcuta and shelters in Pamplona, serving meals to this migrant population. Our project, in reality, is an emergency response to this crisis. On the screen, you can see the banner that is displayed in each one of the centers that we have been working for the last year, providing meals. Additionally, we procure 31 tons of locally produced commodities like chicken, eggs, milk, oil, bread, oats, vegetables, to increase the nutritional value of the Rise Against Hunger meals and add the diverse local flavor of the delicious Colombian meals. We hope that by supporting the local economy, this would help diminish the xenophobia towards the refugees and migrants. The Hope for Venezuelan Refugee Project is a coalition between the Rotary Club of Houston, Rise Against Hunger, Rotary Club of Cúcuta, and we counted with the support of several Rotary clubs from different countries. We partner with local organizations to implement, facilitate, and manage the project. For a period of 41 weeks, our team worked very closely with volunteers and coordinators and distributed more than 647,000 meals among 11 food distribution centers and 7 communities in Cúcuta, 6 shelters and 3 distribution centers on the red humanitaria from Los Patios to La Caldera. You can see the display on the screen so you can see the distances between all these different centers. Our project benefited approximately 435,000 Venezuelan refugees. Unfortunately, some of the shelters along the red humanitaria were closed during the implementation of the project. Additionally, we supported the Yupa indigenous community in Cúcuta and also developed a program with the Food Bank of Pamplona, 1,000 grams of help to benefit extremely vulnerable local population in Pamplona. Our project is helping to alleviate hunger and build peace through mutual respect, understanding, and cooperation. We encourage Rotary leaders and organizations to create awareness of the need for comprehensive and sustainable response to the Venezuelan crisis. As all of my colleagues before myself have said, it's the largest exodus in the history of Latin America, which affects many countries and millions of people. During COVID-19, our Hope for Venezuelan Refugee Project continued helping, providing locally procured food commodities and cleaning supplies to the shelters along the red humanitaria that you can see from Los Patios to El Alto of Pamplona. However, our efforts are very limited as a civic society group. and a larger scale international intervention is urgently needed due to the magnitude of this crisis. In the last 3 years, hundreds of thousands of workers have traveled the humanitarian route. Many of them are minors. Many of them were not accompanied by any adult. Currently, there is a two-way migration of approximately 300 workers, caminantes, per day, despite the restrictions imposed by the pandemic caused by coronavirus. Some of the refugees are forced to return to Venezuela due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Others are fleeing Venezuela to escape violence, persecution, and lack of work, food, and basic services. Most of the humanitarian activities are suspended at this point due to the protocols to prevent the propagation of the coronavirus. Today, the shelters along the humanitarian route are closed due to COVID-19 government guidelines, leaving unattended the most critical region between Pamplona and the Berlin Páramo, located at more than 3,700 meters above sea level, where temperatures can drop below 32 degrees Fahrenheit at night. It's a very risky situation for the workers, especially when we consider that they don't have proper shoes, they don't have jackets, they don't have any way to protect themselves. And now, since the shelters are closed, on that particular region, they have no place where they can have a meal and rest. Even though, as I mentioned, the shelters are closed in the area from Cúcuta to El Alto, we are supporting several of the shelters that are only serving meals to go to the refugee. That means they are not hosting refugees due to the pandemic protocols, but they are serving boxes of food in disposable boxes so the refugees can walk by, sit down and eat, or just take it with them. Again, these efforts are insufficient. We are just trying from the point of view of the Rotary and the civic society. And we need more cooperation to really meet the needs of this growing migration flow. Just to give you an idea, an average person walks at a speed of 5 kilometers per hour. 1 hour by vehicle equals 10 hours walking. The walking time is relative and depends on the way the caminantes are carrying, your physical condition, and resistance. The weather, is there food available, is there shelter, is there hydrated, type of shoes, whether or not they walk with children or senior citizens. So as you can see, it is a very risky situation for these workers that even though, as I repeat, the shelters are closed, the migration both ways continues to increase. With nowhere to go, limited access to food, and needed basic services, Venezuelan migrants face the tragic reality of life as refugees. Venezuelan workers, caminantes, need support and protection of the international organizations and local governments during these very challenging journeys. And I really would like to encourage all the Rotarians that are connected, international organizations, that we need to work together, as I heard many of my colleagues said. We need to join efforts, and we need to be able to create more sustainable plans to try to help this population. Unfortunately, the crisis in Venezuela is getting worse and not better, and the inflow of refugees most likely is going to continue to increase. Thank you very much for your time.
Crystal, thank you for your description of the hard and tough conditions that many refugees are facing when they are leaving their own country, which is also per se a tough decision. Before giving the floor to Barton, a quick question for you. Where do you get the money, the support that you receive now? It's from individuals, from civil society. When you said that you need more money, more help in order to do your objective to help refugees with Hope Organization, who are you addressing this request particularly?
Particularly, I'm addressing the request to the Rotarians we have several Rotarians that have joined and have supported with financial donations. We also work very closely with our main donor partner, which is Rise Against Hunger, and they have financed a lot of the purchase of food commodities that we buy locally in order to complement the caloric intake of the meals that we are donating and also stimulate the economy. However, I would like to see more participation of the private sector working with civic society groups. At this point, we've been working on the ground for 41 weeks, implementing a project which is pretty well documented. We've been able to even have, based on the collection of information that we have done weekly, we even have an idea of the migration patterns. Right now, for example, we are helping with meals. We are not importing the meals from the United States due to the obvious conditions imposed by the pandemic. So we are only buying local commodities. But just imagine, how much can a civil society group buy to provide for the thousands and thousands of people? When I mentioned that there are at least 300 workers that are working every day, is because the shelters that we are attending report those numbers. So, and it's increasing. When we began, just to give you an idea, by May the 6th, we have approximately between 25 to 50 refugees working in both ways, from Venezuela and returning to Venezuela. From May the 6th, now today we have between 300 and more. I cannot tell you exactly, but it's just keeping track of those numbers. We need to know because we need to order the food. And if we don't know the numbers, we don't know how much to order. And so it's a little bit hard when you're working with civic society groups. We receive donations, few from individuals, some from Rotary clubs. And at this point, we are ready to start a phase 3 of the project. We haven't started yet. However, the situation is urgent because, unfortunately, there are no international organizations at this point helping these shelters. So we are just one of the few projects that is providing meals to all these people that are passing by. And as I mentioned also, it's not enough. We need more support. We need more support now to help this population, especially in an area where we are not even working, which is very vulnerable. People that are walking from Bucaramanga towards Cucuta, they have to cross the Berlin Paramo with no food, no water, no hydration, no assistance. They cannot rest. There is no place where they can go and rest due to the pandemic. So we need to find a solution for this very extreme and risky situation for this migrant population. Because the way I see it, and I want to thank the government of Colombia for all their efforts, I have the opportunity to work.
They too have a future, and they can look forward to that future. So thank you all again for participating in this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Quentin, for your very comprehensive remarks. And we'd like to show the video of the Central American and Venezuela refugee crisis. And it should start now.